Guys, do you like this note Tonka beans in your fragrances? What are your favorite fragrances that feature this note? Today I'm talking about Tonka beans and fragrances, and I've got 12 awesome Tonka bean fragrances that feature this wonderful note. In perfumery, I feel like Tonka beans are very, very popular notes in fragrances. I've seen them pop up a lot. They're usually featured in the base notes, even including notes like coumarin, which is actually taken from the Tonka bean and used in fougere fragrances. Comes up quite frequently. But today we're not going to talk about fougere fragrances. We're going to talk about or focus on the Tonka bean note and as a mostly main star of the fragrance. So if you're curious to learn about Tonka beans and fragrances, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. That's right, today we're talking about Tonka beans. Tonka beans are a pretty popular note. They're featured quite frequently in fragrances as base notes. You can also see coumarin, which is actually obtained from the Tonka bean, from the Absolute. The coumarin appears in the Tonka bean Absolute is what I should say. And that usually is a note that's typically featured in fougere fragrances, but as I said, we're not talking about fougere fragrances. It's mostly Tonka beans, and a lot of them go into the gourmand direction. Some of these fragrances would have been featured nicely in the the cozy comforting fragrances video I did a few days ago. But before we talk about the fragrances, if this is your first time tuning in but you still haven't subscribed to my channel, please do click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. Anyway, Tonka beans are notes that look like almonds, but they almost look like a vanilla bean looking texture. But they look like nuts or seeds that when you look at them. So they're very unique. I've actually tasted it, and last year, almost a year and a half ago, I did a video with Dana and we discussed Tonka beans in length. Very, very detailed, very, very intensely explained video on Tonka beans. If you're curious to learn more about Tonka beans, you can go find that video. There is a top 20 list as well, but today's video focuses on some of the fragrances from that list, plus a few others or new ones that I've obtained that I wanted to highlight in today's video. So Tonka beans have a green, grassy quality. To me, they do have the grassy quality. Also, they have a nutty quality. They have this almond-like quality. In fact, when you taste the Tonka bean, which we did on video, I believe, it has a very bitter almondy taste, almost like you have opened up a stone fruit like apricots or peaches, and you've taken that little seed inside the seed, the bean or whatever, like almost like an almond, and you've put that in your mouth. It's all bitter. That's what Tonka beans taste like. So there is that green grassy quality. There's that nutty almondy quality. There's a slight ambery twist to it, like a smell to it. Also, there's a sweet tobacco-ish kind of a vibe as well that you can get. It depends on how the fragrances are, the notes are used in fragrances. So I like that about this. It's kind of versatile with the different smells it provides. And here we've got some great Tonka bean fragrances. Some of the most popular Tonka bean fragrances. But the first 5 I'm going to talk to you about feature Tonka beans pretty dominantly. But there might be a few other more important stars in the fragrance, but Tonka beans are pretty prominent here. We're going to start off with OAJAN first, Perfumes de Marly OAJAN. And this one, to me, definitely could have been featured in my Cozy Comforting Fragrances video from a few days ago. I had to leave it off because I was only focusing on 20 fragrances, but this can definitely land there. To me, it smells like a baklava, a very, very sweet, honeyed baklava. So cinnamon, Tonka beans, honey in here with vanilla, benzoin, heliotrope. Heliotrope also, I feel like, is almondy, so Tonka beans, heliotrope has this kind of almond-like quality. So there is a major almondy component here. So there's ambergris, labdanum, and patchouli in here, and it's a great scent. It's very, very, comforting and cozy, just a delicious concoction, I feel like. So if you don't know this one, check it out. There are imitations out there of this fragrance, but I feel like this is the first one. I'm not 100% sure. No, I feel like people compare this to Hermes Ombre Narguilé as well, and you might have your favorites, but I feel like this one definitely rocks as a fragrance. A really great Tonka bean focused fragrance. So that is Perfumes de Marly OAJAN. Now this next one is NAXOS from XERJOFF. Once again, we have Tonka beans in here, but again, it's not the main star. honey, tonka beans, tobacco, lavender, vanilla, cinnamon, cashmeran. Sort of have similar notes to the previous fragrance. Tonka beans there, so it gives it a nutty quality. The honey is pretty prominent, just like the previous fragrance. Honey works great with tonka beans. Honey, and because tonka beans has that tobacco-ish vibe, honey works great with tonka beans. So it is a great concoction. This does remind what people, or me too, of Pure Havane, but with this one also the lavender is pretty prominent. So it's a great concoction. There's aromatic touches with the honey, the tobacco, tonka beans. Really, really wonderful fragrance. So that is NAXOS. If you're looking for something different for tonka beans, not focusing fully on the tonka beans, then definitely that's one for you to try. And as I mentioned, these fragrances are using or featuring tonka beans, but it's not the main star. With this next one, it's Maison Francis Kurkdjian's Amyris HOMME. Amyris, tonka beans, orange, iris, rosemary. So this one actually, to me, even though it has tonka beans very prominently, I feel like the tonka beans with this fragrance don't go into that sweet gourmandish direction. It goes more into the like a hay, grassy kind of a quality, green hay, grassy quality that this note can have the effect of. So it's different that way. There are nutty qualities, there's slight almondy qualities, but the Amyris and tonka together has a very, very unique quality. It's a unique fragrance for me. This particular fragrance, it was not a love at first sniff. For some reason, I love this brand, but sometimes their fragrances are not love at first sniff, if that makes sense. This, and along with Baccarat Rouge, they're both fragrances that I didn't really appreciate at first, but now I really do. So I do like the tonka beans in here, not because it goes into that sweet tobacco-ish, gourmandish kind of a direction, almondy direction. This one definitely goes into the more greener and grassy direction. Although I should take that back. There are some almondy or nutty touches under here and slight ambery twists as well, and it makes for a unique fragrance. Amyris HOMME from the Maison Francis Kurkdjian house. Now this next one is from the Chanel house, and so far every single fragrance I've talked about strictly unisex, but this next one is masculine leaning for men. It's from Chanel. It's Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme, and for me it's like a nice balance of tonka beans, citruses, and marine or aquatic touches. Now I don't see marine or aquatic touches listed as notes, but I pick it up pretty prominently here, and the combination is great. It's a great smell. It is sporty. It is well, I don't know, I should take that back. I'm not sure if it's 100% sporty. Just the fact that it has this aquatic touch or marine touch, it makes it a little bit more of a sporty experience, I guess, but it's an overall great fragrance, and it was featured pretty high in my recent Chanel fragrances, masculine fragrances video. But even though this is masculine targeted, I feel like women totally can pull this off. It is definitely leaning masculine, but the tonka beans, I feel like a woman can totally pull it up. Anyway, if you're looking for a masculine, marine leaning tonka bean scent, this is definitely one for you to try. It's Chanel Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme. Now this next one is from the House of Le Labo, and I think finally we're getting closer to the actual real smell and the tonka bean being the main star of the fragrance. And this one is Tonka 25. And even though I think the main star in this is musk, I get major fuzzy, musky experience with this one, along with the tonka bean. And when I say fuzzy, almost like little cat hair. I get that sometimes from musks. That's really prominent here, along with tonka beans. So the tonka beans do have a nutty quality, slight tobacco-ish, and also still in here there's a green grassy quality as well. So in addition to the musk and the tonka beans, you have orange blossom, you have cedar, vanilla, some benzoin-y styrax note in here. Even though I thought this particular tonka bean fragrance was going to go in a complete different direction, this doesn't really go into a slight gourmandy direction that typically tonka fragrances do. It's right down the middle. It's like a nice balance of little bit of gourmandy touches, not a lot, and a lot of grassy kind of tobacco-ish touches. Not a lot of honey qualities in here as well, and it's very musky. Anyway, it's unique for a tonka bean fragrance. It's Le Labo Tonka 25. If you don't know it, check it out. So, next fragrance. This is from the house of Jo Malone. It's Myrrh and Tonka. So the Myrrh or Myrrh resin along with Tonka, a great combination. This is such a lovely fragrance. The very first time I smelled it, I was like, I gotta get me a bottle of it. It smells phenomenal. Well, you know, it's one of those things. Jo Malone fragrances don't last, but they make some great scents. A lot of their fragrances smell so wonderful, like this one. I feel like this is a great combination. Whoever thought about it, you know, deserves a pat on their back, because the combination is pretty amazing. Tonka beans with sweet resinous myrrh together, along with vanilla, lavender, almonds. The combination is wonderful and it works great. It doesn't have the greatest longevity, and it's also a very subtle experience. It's not big, beastly like some of the previous fragrances we discussed, but as a smell, it's really great. One of my favorites from the dark bottle, and I love the way it smells. It's the contrast of the Swedish touches with the ambery, slight grassy, almondy touches. It works great here with Jo Malone's Myrrh and Tonka. Anyway, that's wonderful fragrance for you to try. This next one's from the house of Van Cleef & Arpels, and this is Bois Doré. So Bois Doré is Tonka beans, vanilla, almonds, teak wood, tobacco, cedar, musk. There's a minerally touch in here and black pepper. So for me, I get black pepper right at the top as soon as I smell it. It's really spicy, but that doesn't last too long. Tonka beans are the star of the show. Again, now we're in the territory of fragrances with Tonka beans running the show. And it does a great job here. It's wonderful with the Tonka beans and vanilla together with the almondy touch. Again, as I said, Tonka beans have an almondy quality to begin with. Also, you know, the tobacco-ish and grassy elements. I think the combination is great because it complements the vanilla and almonds together with the Tonka bean. It's quite woody though, don't get me wrong. This one has woody touches and tobacco-ish qualities. So the overall experience is a great scent. It's from a house, Van Cleef & Arpels, and this is their more expensive collection. But not a lot of people talk about this collection. I feel like there's a lot of solid releases, and this is definitely one of them. So this is Bois Doré from the house of Van Cleef & Arpels. Please do check it out. This next one is a sadly discontinued. Well, okay, there's this weird thing going on with this fragrance. Earlier this year, they said that they're removing all these fragrances from the stores, but I do still see it on Dior.com. So you can't get it from like places like Neiman Marcus or Saks, who sells the Privé or Maison Christian Dior fragrances. But I guess it's still available. But this is Feve Delicieuse, one of the best Tonka bean fragrances. But what I like about this one is because it has chocolate, it has vanilla, it has caramel, it has benzoin, and it has Tonka beans. Tonka beans are the main star of the show, and I could have featured this in that video as well. A lot of these fragrances I could have featured in that cozy and comforting video, but you know, I had to leave them off, especially this one because the state of this fragrance is a little in flux right now. I'm not sure if they're going to bring it back to the stores, because as I said, when they remove them from those stores, they usually remove it from the Dior.com as well. But I still see this there. So is it really discontinued? I don't know. Maybe it's like a online exclusive now. We'll see what happens to it. But this is an absolute delicious. It's my favorite Maison Christian Dior fragrance, and it's because it's all my favorite notes: Tonka beans, vanilla, caramel, chocolate, benzoin. Lovely fragrance. Anyway, that's Dior Feve Delicieuse. Alright, this next one is from the house of Mugler. They do have a Tonka. It's called Pure Tonka, this one right here. So Tonka beans, coffee, cacao, vanilla, lavender, licorice. This was actually one of the more successful releases as a smell. I'm not sure how it did as a selling performer, but for me as a smell, it's very successful smell. It smells great. But it features Tonka beans, it features cacao, it features coffee, it features vanilla, lavender, and licorice. I feel like it's offsprings of the previous Pure series, like Pure Havane. I could see this being an offspring of that fragrance. Pure Coffee, I could see this being an offspring of that fragrance. I don't know if I could see it as an offspring of Pure Malt, but there's a few others. I feel like a Taste of Fragrance, and all those fragrances, they just feel like it's a great offspring or a flanker of those fragrances, and it smells great. It's a great smell with great Tonka beans and the coffee and the chocolate or cacao, vanilla. It's a wonderful release, and I hope it doesn't get discontinued. We shall see. But this is Mugler's Pure Tonka. Alright, this next fragrance is a cheapie. You can get these in, I think you can get them on YvesRocher.com, USA, YvesRocherUSA.com. I picked them up from France. I picked up 3 fragrances from this collection. This is Sablé Fauve, this one right here. 3 of them for around 80 euros. And these were around $50 recently, I saw. I'm not 100% sure. You should go check it out. But for me, this one is a great warm and cozy, comforting fragrance. This one features loads of benzoin resin, loads of Tonka beans, and loads of labdanum. So it's ambery, it's tonka beanie, so there's slight tobacco-ish touches, grassy hints, almondy touches, and then benzoin. It's a wonderful, wonderful fragrance. A great inexpensive collection. It is niche, but if you're traveling in Europe, especially France, you see their stores in all the little cities, including, you know, Paris and all the, you know, the big cities as well. And you go in there and they have such deals on these fragrances. As I said, I bought my 3 of these fragrances for around 80, 90 euros, somewhere around there. And I do see sales on Yves Rocher USA as well. So you might be able to find this one as a deal. But it is a great, great combination of wonderful warm notes featuring benzoin, tonka beans, and labdanum. A great smell. Anyway, that's Sable Fauve from Yves Rocher. I've got a few more left. So this next one is from the house of Montale, and I recently reviewed it. I shouldn't say recently. It's been over 6-7 months. It's Montale's Arabians Tonka, this one right here. So with this one, it's such a success compared to the original Arabians, which I liked, I didn't love. Here, I love, not alike. So does that make sense? Arabians original was kind of boring for me. And this doesn't smell anything like the original Arabians. In fact, to me, Arabians Tonka smells like a combination of Tonka Beanie, Sensual Instinct, and Intense Cafe, and things like that. So there is that Montale fragrances DNA in here, but it's great with the sugar note, the oud, the tonka beans, the saffron. There's a major saffron-y component here, which is also in Sensual Instinct. Rose comes in. The rose is kind of like the rose from Intense Cafe. So amber, musk, bergamot, oak moss. A wonderful release. I'm surprised at how great this fragrance became from such a, you know, almost like a dud fragrance of Arabians. The original Arabians was okay, as I said, but this one excites me a lot more than the other, and it smells great. It's a long-lasting fragrance as well. Montale Arabians Tonka, check it out. And the last but not least is a fragrance that is from the house of Guerlain. Of course, everybody knows this one. This is Tonka Imperiale. So Tonka Imperiale is all about tonka beans, almonds, tobacco, incense, cedar, rosemary, pine, jasmine, bergamot. This is such a delicious fragrance. I just wish it lasted a little longer. I feel like the collection, this collection seems a little light and slightly transparent. I don't know if you guys get this experience as well. They just seem glossy to me and not dense in depth. But as a smell, it's phenomenal. I love the smell of this fragrance. It's just a great combination of tobacco. It's a great combination of tonka beans with almonds. Then there's also tobacco featured in there as well. It's great. There are the greenish touches in there as well, like the rosemary, the aromatic rosemary. The pine comes in as well. But for me, it's mostly about the tonka beans working wonderfully with the almonds and tobacco. Anyway, that is my last and final fragrance, Guerlain's Tonka Imperiale. If you don't know that one, you should definitely check it out. You should definitely check all these fragrances out. They're great examples of fragrances featuring tonka beans, and you should buy some samples or decants just to test them out. Never buy full bottles, you know, blind, but this is definitely on the cheapy side, so you can look for that one. I don't have another cheapy. That's the only cheapy I have. I don't want to keep doing this, but guys, I don't know if you've checked out my t-shirts. I have a wonderful Forever Vetiver t-shirt. It's currently selling. I have links in the info box. And then recently I launched my Ambergris Alert t-shirt. They're both available for sale. If you like wearing t-shirts, I don't wear t-shirts on camera, but I do wear my t-shirts at home, and I love, they're just comfortable. Very, very soft material, because I've done the premium t-shirts. And maybe I'll do one on tonka beans soon, but right now we have the Ambergris and the Vetiver. As I said, I have links in the info box there. You can check them out. I do have other t-shirts that I'll show here once I receive samples, but right now those are definitely available, and I love wearing them. Anyway, if you have any questions or comments about any of these fragrances, please do write below. Let me know if you've tried these fragrances. Do you like these fragrances? Do you hate this note, or do you hate any of these fragrances? I'd like to find out, because everybody has different experiences with fragrances. I like certain fragrances, I hate certain fragrances, but I definitely do enjoy these fragrances, and I love the way they smell. And as I said, sometimes you don't like a fragrance, and sometimes you do. Like Arabians, original Arabians from Montale, really didn't do it for me that much. It was okay. I was excited for the release. I didn't go anywhere, but Arabians Tonka does it for me. So you might have a similar feeling or experience with these fragrances. Let me know, put a comment down so that I can find out. Anyway guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Otherwise, please like this video, please share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.